Hey everybody, and welcome back to XEN Token Channel. Your host Superman in the house, and we're going to look at XEN again. I got some great feedback from yesterday's video, and people asking me to talk more about it. So we're going to do it. Let's get into it. We're going to talk about the XEN burn and the impacts on the XEN protocol, as well as all the ecosystem building on top of it, like DBXEN, XLON, and of course much more coming down the pathway there. Let's get into it though. We got obviously the XEN is launched on multiple chains: Ethereum, BSC, Polygon, Avalanche, Ethereum Power, Moonbeam, EVMOS, Phantom, Dodge chain there, OKC, Pulse chain, testnet v3, of course, and people are using that a lot. And that's just the testnet, and then of course X1 DevNet, the X1 main chain. And we're going to talk about that big time today. So all these chains, most of them operating, and the two testnets at the bottom, pretty exciting. Now, obviously, we're going to focus on the Ethereum chain. Obviously, Ethereum is the most valuable out of all of them, but there's going to be opportunities on each of the chains, no doubt, at different times. So we're going to talk about that too. But let's get into the burn. At the moment, of course, we can see on Ethereum, we've got a global rank of 10,507,000. Liquid supply is showing up as 9 trillion and 6 billion there. We're going to talk about that because that's what's going to be burned. So let's get into it. What I want to look at is the dashboard. So let's go to the dashboard today. You can see on at XEN Turbo, they've got a dashboard here with the supply. Now, yesterday, as I talked about, that we could head down towards 8.5 trillion. Obviously, we've already come down from about 9.5 trillion, or at least 11.5 trillion if you're going to take the total supply. But in terms of the total amount, we've already moved down to about 9 trillion. And of course, I talked about us particularly heading down to maybe as low as 8.5 trillion. Now that's based on staking, based on penalties, based on of new mints, and based on the burning through DBXEN and the XEN NFTs. Those are the two major ecosystems out there. Plus, there's a few others, but those are the major ones. And we're going to be watching this from now on. So yesterday we had, I talked about there being 118 billion XEN coming out for that day, and of course we had to move through that. Now, people don't have to claim straight away, right? So they have to claim most of it in the first day because they get penalties. And so we're going to quick look at the penalties that people get. But pretty much they have to claim over 7 days. So here is the Fair Crypto white paper for the XEN mints. And you can see that if you claim on the first day, you're not going to have any penalties, no penalties. So that's fully coming to the market and people claim. Now, we know about 2.5% of people are missing their claims. So 2.5% are going to end up falling into this category here. More or less. And of course, on day one, if you're a day late, 1% penalty, 2 days late, 3% penalties, 3 days late on your claiming of your XEN mints is 8%, 4 days is 17%, 5 days 35%, 6 days 72%, and then 7 days 99%. So very little left over after that. So really, if you're not getting it out in the first couple of days, you're going to get hit with pretty severe penalties once you get past onto day 4 or more. So just remember that. But in any case, we can see on the dashboard that we are starting off at 9 trillion or so. Now, we've actually come down. This was at 9 trillion and 6 billion when I started. So we're going to do a refresh on here. Now, I do know that XEN Turbo has had some updates. If you go to Discord, they've been updating this. And so if it wasn't working for many people for a while, it seems to be back and up and running at the moment. So we're going to be looking very closely, I should say, over the next few days, because that's when we got our low mints. And if we keep that high burn up through DBXEN in particular, then that's going to be super bullish. And of course, if we get more stakes, that will be bullish too, right? People staking. That staking's gone up about 40 billion since yesterday. So that's kind of bullish zone. And this here was up at about 9 trillion. I think I saw it at 9 trillion and 90 billion. So that's definitely down about 90 billion from yesterday, even with the high mints coming out. So it's pretty cool. So let's scroll down to the bottom here. We can see that for the 9th, at least, we've got a negative 14 billion in new liquidity. We had 146 billion burned. Look at that. And then 161 billion before that, 130 before that, 91 before that, billion burned. Pretty impressive stuff. And of course, we're getting a lot of staking going on as well. So it's super bullish on this front, and we may that continue, right? May that continue. Now, the other thing, of course, is the total percentage has dropped down to a new low now of liquid, down to 64.8%. Unbelievable. So over a third is in a supply sink of some form, either penalty, didn't even mint, or burned through the protocols, or staked through staking. And I hope that staking gets more popular. The rate's only just gone down to 18%. about 3 days ago. So that's also going to have an impact as well. You want to get those high APYs while you can. And of course, here we are. We've been looking at the future mints come out. We're going to look at up to the 10th of May. I like to do the month. This gives you a nice little window to think about. And of course, we've got these low mints coming out. So 30, we already had one today. It was about 40 something billion. That's obviously going to be minted out over the 24-hour period. So we've got to see that slowly get minted as people go to mint that. It's pretty low compared to what we're getting burning. We've got the 11th coming out at 36 billion, not much. 51.7 on the 12th, 48 on the 13th, and on the 14th there, 37 billion. So unbelievably low compared to normal. And of course, our burning up at 130, 160 billion. You can see how this is going to get us that 9 trillion down lower and lower. Pretty exciting stuff. Obviously, then we come into the 15th and 16th. Obviously, we get back up to 80 billion and then 108 billion, and back down following week down to 50 billion or lower. So it's going to be fun in the next 2 weeks in particular with these particular low days. So stay tuned for that. All right, so that's kind of cool. And let's jump into the supply at the top here again. So we're going to be watching this pretty closely as well, going underneath that 9 trillion. And we don't know how far exactly it's going to go. Obviously, subject to human behavior, the total burning, but we're heading down below that 9 trillion is what we expect to see. Maybe get to 8.75. Something like that might be a reasonable expectation. We will see. Just depends on what people are minting as well. We just don't have that clear view. But of course, it should be relatively low. So that's what we're heading for there. Now, obviously, we have staked as amounts there. So you can see some stake come out and the staked increase the liquid supply. So if stakes are coming out, that's going to come into liquid supply as well. It's not just burning, right? Not just minting, but actual stakes come out. We just saw some stakes come out. They're added to liquid supply. So remember that these are the factors. And it's just subject to human behavior. So we're going to wait to see with plain probability. And so far, it's still looking pretty good. So let's have a look at the Zen price at the moment. So Zen price here holding up at around 3,168. And I'm certainly looking at that more probable than not to go up for another move higher. And because I'm still pretty slow mints, reasonable staking, and then of course way higher burning. That's how we're going to get to that probability that that will move the price up as people want to buy not just mint Zen, but want to buy Zen to get that, because we can see obviously a relatively low amount of mints are coming up. Now, obviously, some of the burning mints, burning Zen is going to be mints, and that's going to reduce the circulating supply, and of course that increases the propensity for less Zen going to market for sale. So that's pretty cool. So let's have a look at the nice little consolidation of that price chart, though, right, for Zen, looking really good. Let's go to the daily on the Zen there. You can see that's pretty cool, a little bit of profit taking. But nice little setup here for moving higher, in my opinion. Let's go to the DBXEN burn. So here we are on the dashboard on zen.pub, and we're going to have a look at this. So here we are on DBXEN ecosystem on the ETH tab, and we can see what this is. So let's see, do a refresh. Before I did a refresh, it was at just under 40 billion with about 12 hours ago or so. Let's see, do a refresh and see what this is at now. 44 billion Zen. So ticking on pretty nice. Got to remember it is Easter Sunday in the US, and of course, what time is it in the US right now? It is still 8:30 in the evening and 11:30 in New York. So LA 8:30. So it still is in the evening there in the US. So you got to remember that people are on family things going on, church things, and other things like that. So interesting there. So 44 billion is what's in there at the moment. Amazing, performing so well. And we've still got 10.5 hours to go. 10.5 hours to go. So keep a tab on these. I'll leave all the links in the video description so you can follow along. Now, here is the mints that we're this is the chart we're really looking at. And look at that. So we've had these waves of increases. And of course, this is where we're at 154 billion. And then we had on the 7th, and then 143 billion on the 8th of April. Today, this is today's one. We're currently at 44. So keep watching that in the last 10.5 hours. And of course, we always get a late burst, but do take into account that it is, Easter Sunday and stuff like that. So people have got other things as well they're doing. But pretty cool. Now, obviously, the best time to get into the DBXEN protocol is when there's a low amount of burning, because you're going to get a big part of the daily pool. And of course, when the GWAI is low. Those are your two optimum plays that you want to do in terms of getting a lot of DBXEN itself. If you're playing for the DBXEN passive, DBXEN DGN income, right? So take that into account. Obviously, when there's a high day, there's a lot of people in the pool competing for that DBXEN. And depending on what the gas prices are, some people are going to get a low-cost entry. That'll be better for them. And some people are paying less ETH into the pool. Some people are getting a high gas entry and pay a lot more. And it can be dramatic. It can be dramatic. Even between 18 Gwei and 21 Gwei, dramatic differences. So you can see some of that activity in the current cycle of burners at the bottom of this page. You can go have a look at some of the people, what they got in, what Gwei they got in for. You can see this one here got, let's say these are pretty similar. Let me try and find some similar numbers here. They're all pretty different there. So let me have a look. This one here, for example, got in at 20 Gwei. This got an 18 Gwei, but look at they paid a lot more. I mean, they're doing more Zen, but quite a bit more cost there in the transactions for that as well. So you have to burn Zen and pay in the ETH cost there. And of course, the Gwei makes a big difference. Getting lower Gwei, you can kind of see that there as well. Just for a little difference in there, what's it, 25% difference in the amount of Zen burning and versus the cost that they in charge just with the lower Gwei. So definitely try and get yourself a lower Gwei. I know it's harder to get that these days, so just try and do your best to get lower Gwei you can. Now, obviously, the price of DBXEN is the reward there. You can see they're added up there. So they're pretty much in the money, but of course, there's 10 hours, 10.5 hours to go. So there'll be more people jumping here. We don't see any big burns in here today over the 10 billion mark. Yes, and they do come in, kind of later in the piece sometimes. So take care in that because this reward may dramatically lower, but it may not. Imagine if you're on the right day, maybe the Easter Sunday means there's less people in here. And so the Zen burn today is a lot lower than these last two. Maybe it comes down a little bit like these waves, and we'll see. Maybe each wave's got a higher low. We'll see how that goes as well. But you'll be very lucky if you get in to the pool with this low entry. That would be a lot of DBXEN, a lot of the rewards for you. So that's kind of the play there. And we'll keep watching that burn. 44 billion, pretty good though still. And of course, that's going to beat out a lot of the daily burn. If it keeps up, it goes to 80 billion or 120 billion. It's going to be fun to see that. And of course, those are the kind of numbers that we've got up here. That's very deflationary for the Zen supply, and is a big catalyst as a probability of lowering the Zen price. Now let's have a look at the DXN, see how it's performed. Once you go into DBXEN, of course, you get DXN, and that's performing pretty well. A little bit of profit taking down here, but it's still holding out pretty nicely at $74 on this as well. Now, this is obviously supported by XLON, which is the meme coin, and this has been burning a lot of the Zen. So people, instead of having it staked and earning the rewards, they go and get the meme coin early. And this is where we are at the moment on this. So 7592. And I know people will probably speculate on the meme coin. Let's go to the daily on this. That's the daily. So it's only been around for a few days and looking pretty good is the chart 7600 at the moment with what 5 zeros in front of it, which is pretty cool. So pretty small liquidity pool, 108,000, but still it's growing by the day. So cool. Keep a tab on that liquidity as well. Now let's go to the percentage of DBXEN, DXN burned through the XLON meme coin. And of course, we can see 14.56% of the 176,618 DXN that has been minted through the DBXEN protocol is now been burned. So that helps the DXN price stay up as well. So that's pretty cool. And of course, less staked, more rewards for everybody. So that's pretty cool with that. But one of the big things, of course, we're going to talk about is the fact that Jack Levin has the X1 chain, the layer 1 chain, that's further down the roadmap looking at 2024. And of course, that'll probably be after we get a lot of the big burns, right? So let's go have a look at that down at the future mints. That's a good way of looking at the future roadmap against the future mints. That's what you care about. And we can see that's probably going to be in 2024 sometime, probably after this big bell curve sort of mountain here, is my guess, somewhere in there. But the big news, of course, that Jack let out was that the XN token that people are going to get credit for. So when you burn Zen, whatever you're burning on whatever protocol, you're going to get credit of XN. So you not only do you just get the benefit from the DeFi project like DBXEN, all the benefits in there, you're actually going to get a credit for the X1 and get some X1 drop. Now, he let that know that on a Crypto Kindness that's going to be dropped in 2023 earlier, so earlier than the actual layer 1 chain. So that's going to be fun. People are going to be able to trade the layer 1 chain on the ETH chain. So it'll be a ERC20 token and that's going to be hugely bullish. So that's an extra bonus, a big bonus. Everyone knows that people are after the layer 1 chains. It's kind of doing things chicken and the egg, and it's kind of having the egg later on, right? The egg later on, and with the layer 1 chain and building the chicken out first, having the chickens with all the different dApps in the ecosystem, and then getting that. So it's super bullish there. I like how the fact that the layer 1 XN is layered on top of all the other burns. So people know that they're burning, and they're taking that into account as well, not just the dApp benefits like ETH and DBXEN or the Centurions and things like that. Now, obviously, coming up in the roadmap is going to be the Moon Party burn. We've got the next project. We've got Phoenix coming up. We've got the Zen Nights coming up, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So that's why you've got to keep the tabs on Jack Levin, and of course all the ecosystem. We've got more developers coming online as well for the Zen. It's going to be a lot of fun to see that. So we're going to get some interesting extra burns. So imagine more projects burning, and each of them with different utilities. So you've got to choose which ones you're willing to participate in. Obviously, you get credits on the X1 chain. And of course, that potentially is what's going to be dropped in 2023. And that was the surprise news, rather than waiting for the X1 chain to launch in 24, which I think is the perfect timing to launch, right? You don't want to launch earlier than that. You want to get the ecosystem building out. So I really like that roadmap. And I'm sure that Jack sees that as well. Now, he's been posting lots of different updates on his Twitter. So definitely follow him for all the latest and greatest, what he's looking at. That's always a good sign. Yeah, keep a track of that. So he's got here about the DXN chart. Goes, it looks like a dragon. What should we call it? I think he kind of named it, didn't he? Now we've got XLON there. Levels the playing field. First fair launch meme coin ever. 100% community owned. So the whole principles going there with first principles. Lots of other cool stuff there too. Yeah, XLON launch pad there. So a lot of graphic arts. So something for everybody, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Feel free to subscribe, like, share, hit the bell, and let me know in the chat there what you'd like me to look at next. I would like to check that out on the Zen ecosystem. Going to be a lot of fun. Take care. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.